So thank you so much for just being a part of this Wellness Moonshot initiative. You, in particular, Amir, have been supporting the initiative for multiple years, almost since its inception. You've been so supportive as a sponsor of the initiative and everything that's happening in Israel to really bring wellness to life in Israel. I'm so glad that we're ending this year with the conversation together. And the theme of the conversation for December is thank. So I wanted to just start by asking you, how do you connect this theme of thank with advancing wellness?
Okay. Hi, Renee. Thank you for having me towards the end of the year and towards the summit. So that's exciting. Yeah, about thanks. So I think I'm a thankful person. I think thankfulness and gratefulness are key to have a wellness life. And it's important for ourselves to thank ourselves and to thank our surroundings. I think being appreciative to ourselves and to our families and friends is key, and that's what make the small moments of life. Um, Actually, when we still will talk about thank, and I had a song, an Israeli song I like very much, and it's called in Hebrew it's called praying for my kids, like that's the translation,
Mhm.
or amen on the kids. And since I have five of those,
Oh,
I got, I
I did
got
not know
very,
that. I didn't know you had five children.
yeah, I do. I'm not sure how it happened, but it did.
That's a different conversation.
Right. And so I got very connected to the song. The name of the singer is Hanan Ben Ari. He's a young, very talented guy. He's a religious guy, and I think his songs are catered both to religious and secular people in Israel. So that's a very, big audience he has. I'll be a very short part. I want to be there for them just like I promised, to sit at the end of the day knowing I've succeeded. Meanwhile, I'm counting small victories, happy I didn't run away to the bathroom or to the computer or just stopped and listened. To the stories about birds, to the thoughts, to the drawings, to the dreams they'll fulfill someday, to the heroes, to the princesses with their silent eyes. There's a sea of secrets if you truly listen. So for me, that's a song of thanking, appreciating what you have, and being mindful and present.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I mean, that reminds me of, or what hits me is this thankfulness of every moment, of just the bigness of life in the small moments. You know,
Yeah,
the
agreed. Agreed. It takes time. It takes some time to understand and some maturity to understand, the importance of those small moments.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you for opening up this conversation with that. That was really beautiful, and excuse me, it means a lot, given that that's just a perspective that I I hope to live by every day. That level of daily practice of gratitude and thankfulness and appreciation.
Yeah,
So
me
I
too.
know you have such an expertise in technology and wellness technology. And I'd love to ask you a few questions about that for the listeners. As you know, that there are now over 5,100 organizations that this Wellness Moonshot article goes to, or this Wellness Moonshot video goes to, and I think they're impacting now 160 million people around the world. So this is
Amazing.
a great opportunity to help people understand the power of technology in advancing wellness, and you're an expert in that. I'm wondering what you're seeing is how technology is decreasing human suffering, plus enhancing our wellness, enhancing our ability to flourish and thrive. What are you starting to see in the whole industry?
Mhm. Yeah, so I do lead the Wellness Technology Fund. So I see lots of technologies and lots of startups, and I've been investing even before that for many years. But the passion has always been wellness. So I think I was lucky enough to be able to connect my passion to the experience with wellness. I think as we say, health is the new wealth in a way, but still those two are still very exclusive. And from healthy food to athletic leisure, you can still find many expensive aspects of wellness. So in my mind, I think technology can be a wellness enabler. And that's how I see it basically. I think that with technology, we can certainly help with democratizing wellness, and make it more accessible for all of us. So, and then if we dive deeper into the different sectors, so we can go to mental apps, to fitness technology apps. We can talk about wellness sustainability and how you can predict climate crises, how you can basically how you can have alternative foods like for protein or sugar or milk, eggs, etc., etc. You have lots of technology in food and agritech. Many in Israel. So in Israel, in that sense, you have lots of innovation. I would say that another factor that happened recently is the convergence between health and wellness. So I think that's also something very, very interesting. Today, you can find lots of wellness startups that do medical researches, and the lines are blurred. So they do clinical trials, science backed, so today wellness is, wellness needs the technology because investors are looking for that. The end consumers are also, they want proofs that it works, that it doesn't harm their body and soul basically. So I think that convergence is also very interesting. And in the past decade, let's say, you have lots of technologies based on the rise of AI, artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning. And I think that brought wellness to the masses, because before that, when you didn't have that technology enabler, so you probably just went to the gym and it was very expensive. So today you can do a 30-minute session or a 10-minute session through your app. And of course, the pandemic boosted everything, and it's still here, so we live in a hybrid world. When we use digitally, we can go to the gym, but on the other hand, I know many people that go to the gym, but they also ride Peloton or Miro, etc., etc. So that hybrid way of living and using technology to support your daily lives, I think that's a key, and I think it's going to stay.
I agree. I agree. And most of my work is focused on organizational life in the workplace. And I agree. I think this hybrid model is we're finding a new center of gravity, kind of a new center of our lives. And it's interesting for me to hear, because you have such a technology background, but also a wellness background, for you to say you see it more as an enabler. It's not the focus, it's the enabler. But
Yeah.
driving wellness, advancing wellness is the purpose, the greater purpose. Yeah. So are there any technologies that really excite you that you're seeing emerging?
I think, as I said before, the enabler side, I think that's the exciting part. The use of AI and big data and the sophistication in those technologies are helping us in the different vectors that the wellness industry is is consists of. So basically, if we go to remote care, preventive medicine, and tele-wellness, telehealth, I think technology will help. We can feel and we can see it helps us, right? Today you can do so many routines from home. So it didn't happen until recently. So the innovation helped us, and now of course after the post pandemia, we know that we can appreciate how important it is. So you have better acceptance for this. I think mental wellness, of course, it's spoken so much, but it's here to stay. And today you can do a coaching session from remote, a psychological session from remote. You can use all kinds of devices. Therapeutic games can help you. Mental. There is a device, for example, we invested in that helps you calm down by the way you breathe into it. You breathe longer and deeper, and it helps you calm down, and you're going to connect it to an app soon. So all of those are things that can really help your mental wellness. So another vector is, as we spoke a bit before, is food and agrotech, where you have meaningful amounts of startups, there. Sustainability, right? Also, we mentioned some, we can't ignore the climate crisis at 2022. So in Israel, about a month ago, you had the first climate tech convention. So that was very exciting. Speaking about food tech, agrotech, circular economy, and many more. So that was for me, that was a moment. So let's say we brought wellness tech to Israel in a way about 4 years ago. So this year was the climate tech summit. So I felt it happens again. And of course, wellness sustainability, you have a mix between wellness and wellness sustainability. Basically, the health of our globe is very important. I'm sure you will have more and more tech into it. The metaverse. So, for example, as we speak, we are having a competition, and we called Web3 metaverse ideas from early stage to later stages from all over the globe, and we have our demo day in a few days towards the summit, as part of the summit. So we had such a global audience and amazing ideas from VR, AR, really things that you feel you live in the future in a way. We did together with the Global Wellness Summit and with Meta. And it's very exciting. We're going to gather all of us in the Meta's office in Israel. And among the finalists, everyone is from a different country. So it's truly a very global event and very, very exciting. So there you can treat mental wellness, you can treat fears. One of the startups, for example, is treating the fear from heights. So in a very accurate way, you just feel you're in a skyrocket or in a very tall building. That's amazing. What else? Any other vectors or sectors? I think.
Well, I would love for you to say a little more for me because I've interviewed a number of people about wellness and technology. You're the first person who has brought up the intersection between wellness and climate. And I'd love for you if there's anything more you would want to or can say about that intersection, for instance, at that conference, what you saw that excited you about the connections people are making between wellness and climate. We know there are connections, but then that third vector, which is technology and how technology is being used at that intersection. Because I haven't heard anyone else talk about that.
I saw innovation that is related to our soil,
Okay.
to water, to the air we breathe, I saw startups that does circular economy.
Hmm.
Um, for example, imagine you're wearing your flip-flops or a sweatshirt, and and in about 4 months you can put it back. I'm not sure how you say that in English, but but you can put it back to the ground and it disappears.
Yeah,
So I
it
think that's
disintegrates. It kind of
right. So
disintegrates and it adds to the earth.
yeah,
Okay.
so I think that's truly amazing.
Hmm.
Um, I saw a startup that predicts weather crises.
Hmm.
So especially for countries, third world countries, that's hurricanes, etc. So that's it can save lives of millions. And
So
the whole
it predicts hurricanes, predicts different storms well in advance,
right.
so that there can be
Usually,
more
usually you
preparation.
have usually you have a forecast for about a week or 10 days or
Hmm.
something like that. So he can basically predict for a few months, so you can get prepared.
Wow. Okay.
It's still early stage,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
he has to prove it. But that's basically what he presented. So, and the whole atmosphere, the whole atmosphere was wellness, tech, doing good, climate. So, it was very exciting.
That's wonderful. So when you think about wellness and tech, and using technology to advance well-being, what concerns crop up for you? Because I know you're looking at the bigger picture. So there's the excitement, which is the enablers, the
Yep.
democratization, but there's also what emerges for you as potential concerns.
Yeah. Yeah, I think nothing that wasn't told before, but sometimes it can cause loneliness, lots of screen time, especially with kids, for example. And this is something I think all parents are concerned on a daily basis. Interactions between friends, between family, when you are in front of your computer and your iPhone, etc. Um, you have to do it in moderation. So I just think sometimes without it, it's good for your spirit and go to the nature and everything in moderation. It also takes some time. When you're a kid, 4, 5, 6 hours in front of the computer, in front of the computer. In Asia, sometimes I think it's even more. So I think lots of guidance should be here, especially with kids, and for all of us, I recommend to do it in moderation.
So the concern would be almost, and you didn't say this word, so this is definitely from me, make
Yeah.
sure I say this correctly, almost over-identifying with technology. Like it becomes the driver of your life rather than you driving your life with technology as an enabler. Becomes like a flip.
Um, Totally agreed. And
Yeah.
it's hard to disconnect, right? It's hard for all of us. So you need some skills and some discipline to do that.
Right, right. It really does bring up, I feel it in my own life. It
Yeah.
brings up the need for, like if I go for a hike, I'm going to go for a hike. I don't need to listen to a podcast. I don't need to check email while I'm there. Just hike, just be with
Right.
nature. And of course, the moment that that finally does shift, I am so grateful. Back to the word thankful.
Hmm.
I'm really so thankful because I come back and I feel rejuvenated. I live in the
Yeah.
mountains, so it's easy access to nature, and I see so many people on the trails with their iPhones, just while they're walking.
My only time without it is when I swim.
Okay.
So,
And you can't, yeah, swimming makes it challenging.
right. So, yeah. So I try to do that as much as I can. And then, after the swim, I truly feel like you described. It's you were disconnected for a bit, and then only then I understand how enjoyable it is.
And how connected you were,
Right.
how good it was to kind of re-plug in with sort of the energy of nature and yourself. Yeah, yeah. So I know Israel is considered. I've actually heard Israel's considered like the one of the most important technical centers, technology centers in the world. And I'm wondering what's happening there that you feel like when it comes to wellness that the rest of the world could really learn from.
Yeah, I think in Israel, yeah, Israel is considered the startup nation or the scale up nation, and considered to be second, only to Silicon Valley, the number of startups. And in the last few years, something happened here in the wellness technology as well. So Israel is a world leader for maybe the last decades. And I think the rapid growth happened in the last 3 years. And probably because of a few reasons. So one is just global trends and awareness and market demands. The other is Israeli health structure, because as uh, I'm sure many of you know, Israel is basically one big um, um, focal point of data. Every Israeli, when he's born, is has basically to join to one of the four HMOs in Israel,
Mm.
and they collect the data anonymously in a way. So it's quite easy um, to do researches in Israel. You can see the vaccination operation in a way. The pilot of the world was in Israel. So that's because of this. That's because the clinical trials are easier to do in Israel.
Hmm.
So I think the wellness startups, the health startups, discover that in a way. So the whole ecosystem in Israel is very interesting. So you have those HMOs, you have the hospitals that are embracing wellness and innovation into them. This is, I think, also something that happened quite recently. Today, in the leading hospitals in Israel, you can find innovation centers. You can find like co-working places in the biggest one in Tel Aviv, for example.
Mm.
The biggest hospital in Israel is as we speak, they are opening or designing and planning to open one of the biggest longevity centers in Israel. So the hospitals in Israel are also full of innovation. You have great academia. You have the army that basically grows very talented and experienced entrepreneurs and teaches creativity. So you have Israelis that are 20 years old or 21 years old that are already very well trained and experienced. And when they go and open their startups, they are super talented.
Hmm.
Um, Add all of those together, and I think you have something really interesting in Israel. I think another very interesting shift is that experienced founders in the last few years, usually the sectors that are famous in Israel are cyber and fintech and automotive, etc. I think quite a few founders shifted to wellness
Hmm.
because probably post pandemia they wanted to do good and to influence, and they already had a success or two, and they said to themselves, okay, let's do something on top of the bottom line, the financial bottom line. Let's do something good for society. So we invested in a few of those, and we are very proud of them. So add all of those together, and you can find in Israel today about 2,000 2,000 health tech companies. You can
Wow.
find about 1,000 digital health companies, more than 500 wellness companies. You have in Israel about 9,000 tech companies. Okay, that's the proportions. And that's a decent amount. And probably the health tech industry is one of the, I'm not sure if I should say a winner of the pandemic, but it's here to stay, and it probably doesn't suffer as much as the other vectors in a global crisis as we have today, a financial global crisis.
That's wonderful. It's like you're really creating the conditions for a lot of success when it comes to wellness tech. And the one thing that I would add, but you can tell me if this is true, but it's because of something you said earlier, and that is the conference you went to, the global nature of it. And I'm wondering, in Israel, do you find that there's also this sensibility around being global? Is that something you find in the tech space as well?
The tech space in Israel is very global. Everybody speaks in English, and Israel is such a small country. So the talent is here, the ideas are here, but the markets are not here. So every startup in Israel wants to be born here in a way, but as fast as it can, to reach to those global markets. So you can find in Israel that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is that the multinationals are aware that there is lots of innovation and talent in Israel. So almost all of them, if I'm not wrong, about 400 multinationals have branches here, or the R&D centers here, or just a representative, etc. Lots of global VCs. So they are also aware to that. So the whole ecosystem is very global.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, as we wrap this interview up, I'm wondering if there's anything you would want to say, anything that you haven't said yet that you would want to say to the Wellness Moonshot community. Remember, the people that listen to these interviews are people who are leading wellness in all different sorts of sectors, whether it's business and education, whether it's in spiritual communities, whether it's in their family system, but the core purpose is to create a world free of preventable disease and to really advance human thriving. And I'm wondering if there's anything you haven't said that you'd like to say.
I think about 7 out of 10 people die from chronic diseases. So if with technology, with that technology enabler, we can at least help or save lives. That will be our victory. So I would recommend to use technology, intelligently, and I would also recommend you to come and visit Israel and and enjoy the country. Maybe even learn a bit about the very interesting tech innovation ecosystem here. If you're coming to the summit, great, and if not, just do it by yourself.
Wonderful. Amir, thank you so much. I really appreciate everything that you're about and your kind of higher purpose to advance wellness. And thank you for just sharing with all of us.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.